taking care of stuff in here. I don't think I could possibly manage that. All right. I won't call on people, but maybe if you want to volunteer, you can volunteer. So here we go. Which one has the most weight? Who wants to answer? Prosper. F. So I'm going to. I just got kicked off right as I was beginning. So F, all you have to do is count the dots here. And this has got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So there are 12 dots in there. The dots are mass. This one also has the most mass, so I'm going to jump to that. So number 1 is F, and number 7 is also F. So the more stuff you have, the heavier you're going to be. Except, anybody think of a situation where I could have a lot of mass in me, but I wouldn't weigh very much? Anyone other than Prosper? Brent, any ideas? I'm super massive. I'm a giant sumo wrestler, and I don't have any weight whatsoever, or I have very little weight. Okay, Prosper. If I went to a little planet, like I'm standing on Mercury or standing on the moon, so you could have a lot of mass, but you wouldn't. So this wouldn't be very heavy on the moon. All right, the least weight. Anybody else? Prince? Yeah. Yep, it's only got 2 dots in it, which means that's also the one with the least mass. So that'd be the answer to 8. All right, volume. Volume is kind of the one that people always get right even before they've learned these words. So most volume, Ian? E, yeah. Volume is size, so E is the biggest one. And anybody just blurt out, the least volume would be what? B. B, it might be kind of hard to tell. You might need to get a little sheet of paper and make some marks. Like, here's a mark on one side of B, here's a mark on the other side of B. I'll put it over next to D, and I can see that D is a little bit bigger, so the answer is B. Now the trickiest one. Who wants this? Actually, no, this isn't the trick. This is the next one's the trickiest. Most dense? Prosper? D. And for this one, I would just use dense is how crowded something is, and that's really crowded. You could also ask yourself which one looks like it's been compressed, and that would be D. You could also ask yourself which one looks like it would sink, and that would be D. So all those things. Now the least dense one. There are a few possibilities. What's that? C? Yes, C. And to see why it's C, what I do is maybe I want to compare E and C. And I think of them as a house. And I think of it as furniture or maybe people living in a house. This has 6 people, and that's a pretty big house. This has 3 people, not quite as big, but which house is more crowded? So I'm going to make a room for everybody. Try to keep the rooms in equal size and see what it looks like. So that's how big the rooms are in that house. And this is how big the rooms are in this house. This is less crowded, so it's less dense. All right, so hopefully you did pretty well on those. We're going to do a little practice to let me know how people are doing on this in a minute. I didn't have time to make questions like this. This is the harder kind. We'll do some practice with that next class, just a little check-in. All right, a canister stays the same size, but more stuff is placed inside the container. So if you know the answer to mass, just blurt it out. Does it have more mass, less mass, or the same mass? More, yeah. Mass is stuff, so it's got more mass. And how about volume? More or less or the same? Same. It says it's same size, so it's same volume. All right, so I'm going to draw this. I'm going to draw my container with some mass in it. And I'm going to keep it the same size, but now I'm going to put some more mass in it. All right, what happened to the density when it did this? Anybody? More or less or the same? More. It's more crowded now. So density went up. And what happened to the weight? It increased, got heavier. So whatever mass does. Now this one, I'm expecting it to be a little trickier because it's the last scenario on here. Something gets bigger, but the amount of stuff in it does not change. So what happens to mass? Stays the same. How do we know? Stuff. Stuff is mass. Doesn't change. Okay. How about the volume? Increases. We know that because, how do we know? It gets bigger, and volume is size. So if you have the same mass and you have a bigger volume, what happened to your density? Right. So this would be like same number of people living in the house, but now the house is bigger. It's going to be less crowded. So this would look like if I started with what I had in the last one, it gets bigger, but the stuff doesn't change. So that's definitely less crowded. How about the weight of this? Is this going to be more or less or the same? Now it looks maybe heavier, but the way my little diagrams work is this doesn't count. This isn't mass at all. It's just showing you where the edge is. So this has the same amount of stuff as that does, so the weight will be the same. Same weight, same mass. All right, that's done. I'll leave this on for just a second, and people can see what we did next. So, quick quiz. So this is not going to be graded. I may have screwed up the answer key. So as you go through it, if you realize that it's my answers are actually wrong, you could be correct there. So this is in Google Classroom. You'll need your Chromebook for this. You shouldn't be getting out your phone for this because your phone is over there. If you forgot to put your phone over there, make sure you do that. So the way I get to Google Classroom now is I go to my home page and then I click right down here the Google Classroom link, but you can get there however you want. And in classwork, hopefully there's under right here it says Astronomy Supporting Concepts Class 4 Practice Quiz. Let's see if it works. So you open that up and try the quiz. So see if it works for you. I added a note here. I tried to make this like the drawings on the other sheet of paper, but I was just drawing it by hand. So my dots, they all look kind of different, but let's just pretend that they're all exactly the same dots. And by the way, to save you a little bit of time, if you look at C and you look at B, you see anything they have in common? All these dots right here, I copied them and I pasted them right there. So those are the same dots that are right here. All right. So see how you can do it. Give this a try, and I'm going to, after we're done, I'm going to look at how people scored on this. I think it'll tell you your score as you do it.